We're there at the Neshoba County Fair, Mississippi's giant house party. That's where we are today. Let's see here. Also wanted to pass this on to you. Discover Covington County Hospital's Swing Bed Program, offering comprehensive care for patients transitioning from acute hospital care to home. With a focus on rehabilitation, we ensure a smooth journey back to your home environment. Recognized by Care Checks as the #1 in the market for overall hospital care and the #1 in the market for overall medical care. Choose Covington County Hospital, where your health care matters. We're pleased to welcome now to the Element Wealth Studio set right here at Founders Square. It's Mike Hurst, chairman of the Mississippi Republican Party. Mr. Chairman, good to see you, sir.
Great to see you, Gerard. How are you?
Man, I'm doing fine. It's another Neshoba County Fair. I'm impressed with the crowds we have, even though this isn't a statewide election year. That usually draws a lot of folks out. But a critical election coming up this November for all the House seats, of course, in the country, the president at the top of the ballot, and we got a number of very critical Senate seats. Man, wouldn't it be great if we could take control of all three, the so-called trifecta, if you will.
Absolutely. We've got some critical seats coming up here in the state of Mississippi, like you said, in the Mississippi Supreme Court. Very valuable seats we've got to retain if we want to retain our conservative values and our principles on the court.
No doubt about it. So an interesting race that one is for the Supreme Court. We've got, I think, 5 candidates.
5 candidates, that's right.
In that one, we interviewed Byron Carter earlier on the program. We've got Senator Jennifer Branning coming up as well. I mean, those are critical races as well.
Absolutely.
We need to pay attention to
the courts affect our lives more than most Mississippians and most Americans even realize. So, yeah, to have someone that reflects our values and our principles on the court.
No doubt. So you and I were at the Republican National Convention. What a treat that was.
Yeah.
We didn't know it was going to be quite the historical event and as exciting. But the one takeaway I had from that, I mentioned that to the governor as well, was just the feeling that everybody was on the same page, something we so desperately need.
Absolutely. I've been to a number of Republican National Committee conventions in my life, and that was the most fired up, the most energized I've ever seen. And like you said, the most united. You know, that speech that J.D. Vance gave, the speech that Trump gave, I mean, people were fired up when they left that arena. So
no doubt about it.
We can take that over the next 100 days to November.
So, speaking of which, what are you hearing from inside the party? I mean, the polls show essentially we're within the margin of error, as they say, neck and neck, to the extent we can rely on those. And then, of course, we've got the critical 5 or 6 swing states, depending on what you would categorize as such. You know, the one thing I'll say, Mike, is that the president, the former president, he's holding rallies in those states.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Whereas his opponent, Kamala Harris, why is she going to Texas?
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Yeah, well, and it seems like she's appealing to the Hollywood crowd. It seems like she's appealing to the really progressive side of it. I mean, look at all the videos she's putting out, all the singers and actresses and actors. I mean, she's appealing to the very liberal side of the Democratic Party, and I can't understand that. You know, I think the polls show neck and neck right now, but I think we have to take into consideration she's getting a real bump because she just got – she's brand new. She's going to get another little bump when the August Democratic convention comes around.
Yeah.
And let me just tell your audience right now, the background noise you hear there's some type of animal calling contest going on in the back. That is not Gerard and
Did you recognize that? What was that animal we just heard?
I think that was a dodo bird. They've been extinct for about 100 years, but they're trying to bring them back. And so, it's amazing the things you'll hear in Neshoba County.
Oh, man. That's right. Thanks for clearing that up for our audience.
I just didn't want your listeners to think you and I could do that good of a job in our animal calling. So
yesterday, Mr. Trump went into the belly of the beast, as it might be described, with the National Black Journalists Association. And, man, right off the bat, they hit him with what he termed as a hostile, a harsh question after making him wait because of technical difficulties. And it's all subject
Absolutely.
to that. But I think he was right in saying, geez, not a hello, how you doing, or anything like that. Boom, right to it.
Yeah,
with
right
these
to the racism,
controversial
right to the,
questions. It just seems like, I've said it on the show before, they kind of have three major pillars. It's race, it's gender, and it's climate change. Nothing else seems to matter. And they weave that, as they did yesterday, into everything. I thought he did fine. What did you catch any of it? Did you hear any reports?
Of it. I saw some snippets of it. What I can tell you is exactly what he said, which is a major presidential candidate of one of the two major parties comes in and is interviewed by journalists. No matter if you agree or disagree with the policies, you can at least be respectful.
Yeah, courteous.
Yeah, and
hospitable.
And where has that gone? I mean, that's completely out the door. But I think he responded, and I think the reason they're so upset, Gerard, is because they see that he is appealing to the African American
no doubt about
community.
it.
And they see the numbers. Right. They see the polling numbers. They see the support, especially among African American males. They see this man and what he did for them in the 4 years he was president, and what he is going to do to make their lives better.
We got a break right here, folks. It's top of the hour. That means Fox News SuperTalk News is coming your way. We're going to return, though, with the chairman of the GOP in Mississippi. It's Mike Hurst. As the upcoming college football season nears, Ole Miss will be putting on a concert to get fans hyped up for what is expected to be an historic campaign for the Rebels. On Friday, August 30th, the night before the Rebels season opener, former Ole Miss pitcher turned platinum-selling country artist Brett Young will perform at the Pavilion. He'll be joined by Josh Kelly and by one of the most fun acts around, the Mustache Band. The Brett Young Show is presented by SuperTalk Mississippi Media. Tickets are on sale now at OleMissTix.com, but you better hurry. Seating is limited, and they're selling fast. Plus, we will be giving away some tickets in the coming days, so stay tuned. We're visiting with Mike Hurst. He's chairman of the Mississippi, newly minted chairman of the Mississippi Republican Party.
That was a sheep. That was a sheep. I know a sheep when I've heard it called.
So, I mean, we're clear-eyed about the policy distinctions between the president and his Democratic opponent. But it seems like, Mike, the thing that concerns me is that a lot of voters in this country and in Mississippi, they focus more on just kind of the personality and sort of the package maybe, and not so much on these stark policy differences. How do we move the needle on that? I mean, you feel like the campaign is going to start ratcheting up and intensifying its promotion of these policy distinctions?
Yeah, absolutely I do. I would tell you, I was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania the last 3 days for some other business, and on the news cycles up there, the commercials that the Trump campaign is running in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is focusing not on the personality but on the policy, on the fact that Harris has supported defunding the police, she supported the Black Lives Matters and paid money to get people out of prison who committed other crimes.
That's right.
She supported full health care benefits, education benefits, social welfare benefits for illegal aliens in this country, and voting for those who are in prison.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's insane, but that's what the Trump campaign, rightly so, is doing, is focus on the policy differences, not the personalities.
Man, I hope so, because it just seems like it's hands down a winner.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And in the state of Pennsylvania, obviously a key swing state, 19 electoral votes, she's on the record as saying she wants to prohibit and ban fracking. I think next to Texas, there's more fracking occurring in Pennsylvania than any other state.
And, the opposition that the Democrats have to pipelines, which are, more efficient for transporting that stuff. I mean, it's incredible the policies the Democrats over the last 3.5 years under Biden and Harris have put into place that just has killed our economy.
Yeah, and Mr. Trump's absolutely right when he says that, the key to starting to chip away even more so at this inflation is to unleash the American energy industry. And Mike, it's more than just policy there. It's the message.
Right.
When you're in the energy business, if you think about it, and you got a White House and a government that essentially detests you, you're not likely to go out and make investments. But when you got one that embraces what your industry does, I think you'd stimulate investment.
That's right. Yeah, and if you look at it from a standpoint of, I mean, these are taxpayer dollars being used by this White House, this administration, to try to stifle energy production, energy shipments, energy transportation, things like that make Americans' lives easier. And to have a White House that does that in the name of, climate change, I mean, that's insane.
It's crazy.
I wish Democrats would come to Neshoba County and see all the good things that are happening in the state of Mississippi as it relates to energy production, as it relates to, agricultural, as it relates to the things where when you allow freedom to flourish, when you cut the red tape, how things are doing better.
Yeah, it's the private sector that will lead the way here to improve the quality of life for all of us, and that means government's got to get the heck out of the way. Right. And they believe they can engineer the economy. I mean, that's their approach, which has failed every time.
I was about to say, show me one time in history where the dictatorship worked over the people, and it never has.
So we got the Democratic National Convention on tap in a couple of weeks, and yesterday I heard news that the Harris campaign will be campaigning in the swing states, is what they're saying, next week with the vice presidential candidate that's going to be on the ticket, which means that we got 4 or 5 days till we get a selection. You have any thoughts about who's kind of on the short list there?
Well, the two names that I continue to hear, and that if I were a betting man, it would be either Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania, or Mark Kelly out of Arizona. Yeah. And frankly, at first I thought Shapiro might be the better pick, but the more I've dug into both, I think probably for the Democrats, I think Kelly's a tougher sell for us as Republicans, just because he has gone against the Democrats on the border issues. He lives in a border state. He sees the effect that the unsecured border and illegal aliens have on this country.
Yeah.
But again, it's not about the vice president. It's about the president.
No doubt about it.
And Harris cannot run away from the fact, despite the media trying to correct themselves and cover up, she has been the border czar for the last 3.5 years. Border czar, point person, whatever you want to call her, she has been the one in control of the border. And the reason we have unsecured border, and the reason we have 10 million plus illegal aliens having streamed over this country, making us less secure, taking our jobs, taking social services, is because of Kamala Harris.
Absolutely right. I saw where the Axios reporter that originally kind of coined her as the border czar is now saying he never did that. Yet all the articles are still out there. Oh, no, she wasn't the border czar. You're the one that gave her the name.
And Axios 3.5 years later would issue a correction.
Exactly.
Hey, we screwed up for you Democrats when we called her border czar, because that's what she was. And I mean, that to me, that kind of concerns me as an American, that some in the media can be that disingenuous to try to carry the bag for the Democrats.
Something that I hope Mr. Trump does emphasize and highlight is that she has a history of operating kind of a toxic work environment.
Absolutely.
So I read some reports yesterday, even going back to her time as DA.
Wow.
In California, there's I guess you could call him a whistleblower that has come forward. Now, it's absolutely honest to say, well, if it's just one person and everybody else says, no, I didn't see that, well, then that one person is just an outlier. But I think there's going to be more that have come forward. This person actually said that they were not allowed to look at her in the eyes. You see that?
Yeah, I saw that. That's incredible.
Well, what does that say about the quality of a person in general to be in such a high-level management role?
Well, and to think about this, all the reports that I've seen have said almost every single staff member she's had as vice president has resigned.
Yeah.
And
92%
think about
or
that
something
for a
like
second.
that.
This is the second highest position in our land. You're working in the upper echelon of the federal government, and you're going to give up that position because you cannot work for the individual that holds that office. I mean, we talked about personalities at the beginning of the show. We should focus on the character and the way people treat others.
Totally agree.
And that needs to be taken into consideration.
In the private sector, that equals bankruptcy.
Yeah.
You experience a 92%
turnover. You're not getting hired like that. You're not
Exactly.
sticking around very long if you do.
And I think Mr. Trump should contrast that to the large number of folks that have worked for him, directly with him, who have all been very complimentary and pointed out what a gracious boss he's been. Now, look, when he gets sideways with somebody that's working for him at a very high management level, he doesn't hold back on saying, no, I think we got to pull the plug and make a change.
Right.
That's one of the hardest things to do. You got to be brave to do that.
Yeah. We've got to have more of that business mentality in government. We can't just allow someone. I saw someone that say the other day, only in the Democratic Party is where if you screw up, you get promoted.
That's true. I think he's actually said that too as well.
And we've got to reverse that, and we've got to bring a business mindset to our government. Whereas, if you can't do the job, no hard feelings.
Yeah.
But you don't.
That's
you
right.
don't. You don't. Not only do you not get promoted, you don't stay, because we need the best and we need the brightest helping run our government and keep our people safe.
A long time ago when I started my business, Mike, and I was a young 20-something-year-old. Of course, you think you know everything, right? But I was working with someone who worked for GE, high level in management, in Monroe, Louisiana, that had become a consultant helping small businesses in the area. And he told me something that's always stood with me. He said, one of the primary reasons for small business failure is over-loyalty to bad employees.
Right.
Think about that.
No, that makes
exactly
a lot of
what you just said.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, human nature, we don't like conflict generally. We don't want to upset people.
That's right.
But at the end of the day, it's if you're not cutting it, if you're not doing the job, no hard feelings.
Yes.
But we can't keep you in that position. We certainly can't promote you. But we can't keep you in that position. We need to find the right people for the job.
Yeah.
And Kamala Harris is not the right person for our country.
Well, it's natural attrition with her. They just leave because they can't stand working.
Yeah, it's incredible.
That's a little different than Mr. Trump, who says, you're not really holding your weight here, pulling your weight here. It's not in the best interest not only of this office, the administration, but the country in this case.
Right. I mean, and we have to look at it not only at the president position. We have to look at it throughout all areas of the government, whether it's United States senators to congressmen, all the way down to dog catcher.
Totally
and
agree.
I keep thinking about Benny Thompson. Benny Thompson's been in our state for 30 years in Congress.
Yeah.
Tell me what he has done. Show me how the Delta has improved under his leadership.
Zero.
We've got a man named Ron Eller running against him.
Coming on in a minute.
And we need to get him elected and get Benny Thompson out of there.
Mr. Chairman, always good talking to you, sir.
Thank you, Gerard.
Appreciate
Thanks for the time.
Folks, we're coming right back with Senator Jennifer Branning. She's a candidate for the Supreme Court. Stay